Yes, indeed, and Rubens Barrichello will be remembering well Monte Carlo when he lost his patience coming through the field and just ran into the back of Kimi Raikkonen, took the pair of them out of the Grand Prix. Rubens knows there's a long way to go yet, and he can afford to be patient.
Well, you're the racing driver, but it looks to me like what we're seeing here is Michael Schumacher being quite cautious. Would you read it that way?
Well, he doesn't need to spin off, and Montoya's made it very clear that he's not going to give him the opportunity to easily come inside. And Montoya, will he take to the grass? He may just do. He locked a wheel coming out of Vale into the first part of Club, and luckily for him, Schumacher was far enough behind not to be able to punish him for locking of that wheel. And I think we're going to see some intermediate tyres going on.
Yeah.
This will play into the hands of the Bridgestone runners.
Whoa.
And Montoya's well out of shape. Now he's still, yes, he is just bumping down the edge of the grass, but Michelin don't have an intermediate. Bridgestone do.
Well, certainly the Bridgestone tyre is better. They're on slick, dry tyres at the moment. No sign of any tyres being ready, though, from the Ferrari mechanics. The Williams mechanics are definitely going to bring Montoya in. And look at the rain coming down.
Ferrari out, Williams are out. Will the drivers come in? That's the big question. But I think it's touch and go. I don't think it's raining hard enough, James. I think it's worth pottering around for 5 minutes. And they've only got there's no decent intermediate for any of the Michelin runners. They will have to go to the full wet tyre. I think and Montoya is in. Montoya is in. Schumacher is in. Raikkonen is in.
They're all coming in. No, they're not. David Coulthard, I think, is continuing on. Coulthard is doing what you would do and going straight on, and here's Ted in the pits.
Juan Montoya is in for those full wets. As we said, the Michelin intermediates aren't good enough, so the slicks come on, the wets go on. There's a small amount of fuel in there, and he's off. Ralf Schumacher is now right behind him. Here we go. The Williams mechanics are scrambling into the garage to get more wet tyres for that. Michael Schumacher's just come in. Now Kimi Raikkonen. I'm going to hand back to you, James. You'll be able to see all this much better.
Yes, Ralph's got a very slow stop because both Williams came in and both of them surprised their crew, lost a lot of time. There's the intermediates on the Ferrari. Coulthard has stayed out. Coulthard leads the British Grand Prix. Everybody else moving to inters if they've got Bridgestone tyres, or full wets if they're on Michelin. And chaos then in the pit lane because they had to queue up behind their teammate. You're on board then. You're looking back at a highly oversteering David Coulthard, desperately trying to keep that McLaren on the racetrack. And if it'll just stop raining, he's got a chance.
Well, his first sector is 11 seconds slower than the racing laps we were seeing before the rain came down. It's going to have to stop raining very soon for Coulthard to have any chance at all. Look at how hard he's working the steering wheel just to keep this car on the road.
Yeah, the worst problem here, look, his visor's fogging up. He's got a tinted visor on. The worst problem is locking of a front tyre, and I think it looks so slow. He will have to come in, I believe. I believe Coulthard should now come in. The track's just not got enough grip to try to get away with it. And this is Schumacher leaving the pits. He will come up behind a very slow Renault, and the Renault has missed its pit, look, that's the problem. And Schumacher really had no choice but to overtake. The Renault should have gone in the pit. And no, incorrect there. The Renault hadn't quite made his pit at that stage, but was slowing down. Michael overtook in the fast lane of the pit lane.
Well, that'll be a very interesting thing for the stewards to look at. The tyres are ready for David Coulthard, but Michael Schumacher breezes past him. Montoya is still leading this race. Michael Schumacher second. David Coulthard is continuing. You can see he's struggling with the car, but he's going to stick with it because he's still running in third place, and we're waiting for... Well, Kimi Raikkonen has lost out in fourth as Sato goes off the track because Jarno Trulli, through the pit stops, has now gone up into fourth place. Where is Kimi Raikkonen? He's dropping down the field. Rubens Barrichello, from 21st on the grid, is up to 5th.
Coulthard's now gambling that it does dry out and they have to go in the pits and change tyres yet again, but there's too much spray. It's not going to pay off, David. You've got to now realise the gamble's not paying off as Coulthard falls further down the field, having been overtaken by the Renault then. Coulthard, really, that gamble has not paid off for him. Sato has not stopped either, so he's still on dry tyres.
Well, nothing venture, nothing gain. That's obviously Coulthard's philosophy. Some parts of the circuit are less wet than others. A tear-off visor being thrown away. Coulthard is concentrating so very hard at the moment because he feels there might be an opportunity, but you can see it's very, very slippery down there.
the problem is, in those conditions, the slower you go, the less grip you've got. The less grip you've got, the slower you go. You're losing tyre temperature all the time, and then he will have to come in this lap. So it's like a snowball effect, and it just goes. Then you lose brake temperature and start snatching wheels as well.
Okay, so let's take stock. Lap 15. They've mostly been in, but Coulthard has not. He's currently lying in third place. Montoya leads 5.5 seconds ahead of Michael Schumacher. Then Coulthard, still only 1.5 seconds behind the world champion. Not a bad effort. It's been terrific news for the rain, has been terrific news for the Renault team, because Jarno Trulli is fourth and Jenson Button is up to sixth. Rubens Barrichello is holding on in fifth place. Ralf Schumacher has dropped down to seventh. Kimi Räikkönen has dropped down from fourth to eighth. And the rain, you see, is falling harder.
Now what you're going to see is what we talked about. I mean, I said at the beginning of the show, there's a man I respect in the paddock who said to me we were going to get some light rain in the race, and absolutely he was correct. Coulthard pits then. Coulthard pits, the gamble's paid off. It'll cost him probably some World Championship points this afternoon. Worth a try. But what you're going to see now is Michael Schumacher is going to eat Montoya alive in the beginning, at the head of the field. He will be so much faster, and Barrichello will also now storm through Trulli ahead of him. Barrichello's running fourth.
Yes, Michael Schumacher took 3.3 seconds out of Montoya's lead on one lap alone. And look at this battle. Bernoldi, Salo, Panis. This is the battle for 11th place, and they were three abreast coming out of Woodcote Corner. Tremendous scrap between these three. And at the front, still, Michael Schumacher really eating into the lead of Juan Montoya. That's going to be a change for position soon for the lead.
And look, then, Coulthard came out just in front, and we think Michael Schumacher's already passed Montoya. Such is his speed advantage. We'll try and pick that up, but I'm hearing that through my headphones that Michael may even have made the move already. So Coulthard has fallen way back into the end of the top 10.
Schumacher crosses the start-finish line, and Montoya is behind him, right underneath us. Michael Schumacher leads the British Grand Prix by 2.4 seconds ahead of Juan Montoya. We're expecting Jarno Trulli to come through in third place. So unseen by us, somewhere out on the back of the circuit, here it is. This is what happened.
And there's Montoya, look, covering his line again, presumably misses the braking point. Michael, with so much more grip, says, I'll just take the normal line. That was the same place, Vale and Club, and nothing Montoya could do. And this is what I've been trying to tell you about. The intermediate Bridgestones are sensational. Salo out of the Grand Prix. He becomes our third retirement of the afternoon. And it's a tyre intermediate, halfway between dry tyre and wet tyre, and it just works beautifully in these conditions where there's not any standing water.
Lap 17 then. Schumacher leads from Montoya. Barrichello up to third place now from 21st. Fourth is Trulli. Fifth, Ralf Schumacher. Sixth, Jenson Button. But who says the rain's going to last? Lots of question marks here at Silverstone.